Hi, everyone. Lisa and Courtney here.
Hey guys, how are you?
Is everyone doing awesome? It was cold and a little rainy today, which I was super excited about because I love the rain. I realize not everyone does. Are you a rain person
The rain,
or a
the rain. I am 100% a rain person. I would prefer it to be rainy and stormy inside, and like reading. Perfect.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
I told you, Courtney, I pretty much agree on everything. I was saying in my Insta story today, I'm like, it's going to be interesting tonight because we are like on total opposite ends of the spectrum on tonight's book.
Yeah. Whenever Aaron and I were running errands, and he's like, "So did Lisa finish the book?" And I was like, I think she ended up being able to finish it. I was like, I'm pretty sure. He's like, "Well, did she like it?" And I was like, "Well, her and I have to bring like." And that's okay. And he's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, it'll be good. It'll be good. Not everybody's going to like everything that I read, which is fine. Like, he was like, "It's okay." I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally fine with it." There's going to be times where, you love the book and I completely hate the book, and that's okay.
Yeah, totally. Let us know what you guys think. I put a poll in. I forgot last time, but I put it in this time. It's right underneath me if you're in Crowdcast, and it lets you vote. 1 is worst. 2 is I didn't hate it, but I didn't really like it either. 3 is meh, it was okay. 4 is yes, that was a great book. So glad I read it. And 5 is best book ever. So we'll wait and let you guys go. Check that.
Yeah, go vote. Say hi. How you doing?
Who's here?
I see Ryan and Stacy, Brooke, Amber, Jane, Lisa. Oops. Oh, Ryan, he said, "I didn't like this one, but read the Secret Book and Scone Society. How did you like it? Because that's my favorite series by her."
Is it written the same?
I've also read her Charmed Pie mystery series. Say that again?
Are all of her books omniscient point of view?
Yes.
Oh. All right.
I'm pretty sure. Well, yes. Because, I mean, she doesn't use I or me or anything like that. It's all from, yeah. But I loved the Secret Book and Scone Society one. It was really, really good. Both 1 and 2, and the third one is coming out soon, I believe, or at least she just released the cover of the third one. And
wow, the voting is all across the board.
Let's see. Oh yeah, it is.
2, 3, 4, 5. So there's really no overarching. Jackie, I loved it. All right. Lisa, I really like this one. I found the mystery fun and I couldn't guess the killer. I loved how intelligent and strong the protagonist was.
Yeah. She didn't put up with much, which was interesting because I would say that, yeah, towards the beginning I wasn't the biggest fan of her, but she grew on me.
I mean, I didn't like her, and then I heard your Southern drawl. And I was like, she sounds amazing.
Right? She sounds like the sweetest person. That's us here in, like, I know I'm Midwest, but in our Southern areas, we can be real salty and sound as sweet as apple pie.
So should we, what do we usually do? So we usually tell everyone, what do we tell people at the beginning? What do we do? We usually tell people whatever the book voting was. Or no, we do that at the end. I feel like there's something we normally do at the beginning.
Yeah. We normally split up the book in half, and then one of us tells the first half of the book, and then the other one tells the other half of the book.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Do you want to do the first half then?
Yeah. So we start, one, I love the fact that every single chapter had a quote at the beginning. I thought that was a really nice touch. I just like it when authors do that in general. It gives you like sort of like an even more deeper view. But we start in Oyster Bay, and it's this town right off of in North Carolina, and you're near the ocean, and you start off in this grocery store, and these girls are just bickering about this woman who's just walked in and how, snarky she is and how horrible she is and just everything like that. And then it switches from those girls' point of view to following our main character, Olivia, around. She has her own standard size poodle, Haviland, who is the perfect dog, if you ask me. And you start seeing that she owns a lot of the town. She owns a lot of businesses, and she sort of seems very cold at first and very just business lady. This is how we're going to do it. She's kind of hateful too in the beginning. Like, you can tell that after she goes to the grocery store, she goes to the this diner where her one and only friend owns it with her husband, and she's eating her breakfast, and she's hearing this writers group in the back of the diner sort of talk about and read excerpts of their books. And Olivia starts making fun of one of the main characters, Laurel's romance novel. I had like a hard time having a serious face because that was during my first chapter. And I had a very hard time having serious face when I was reading the romance sections because I get like flustered. So we sort of see her sort of being snarky and hateful, and you don't kind of like her. And then Camden, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Camden comes up to her. He's this sassy gay guy, and he's just like, so I heard that you are a writer and you need to join our club. And she tries to like put him off. But as the chapters go, she starts to really, really enjoy Camden and really, really like him. And you can tell that he's sort of thawing her icy heart. And you can start seeing that there's actually like a real person underneath the facade that she has put up. And through the book, you start to really realize why she has such a facade, and the things that happened to her. When do you want me to stop with like the halfway point? Because I'm not quite sure what the halfway point is.
I wasn't into the book that much, so you just stop whenever you feel like it.
Okay. So she starts to realize that she needs to give more of herself to the town than she actually is. And Camden convinces her to, there's a little cabin on the outside of her house by the ocean, to redo that house so that it's sort of given to the neighborhood to use and things like that. And you really, really start to love Camden. And then you realize that his book, because he's part of the writers group, his book is all about, it's a fictional nonfiction narrative about this wealthy family that has lived in Oyster Bay and that has sort of like a shady kind of past. And you learn that Camden is actually a sort of like tabloid author of the stars and has gone to Oyster Bay to follow this famous family and sort of make a whole bunch of money off of them. And so before everyone got together to read his chapter, and he doesn't make it to the reading, which doesn't seem like them. That doesn't seem like him. So they all pile up in Olivia's car, all of the writers of the workshop, and they go to the last place that they saw him, which was this really divey kind of bar. And they find that he has been killed in the back alley of the bar with his neck slit open. And it wasn't a haiku. It was what kind of
It was a haiku.
It was a haiku. Okay.
Yeah.
So with a poem written in blood on one side behind him. And now this starts getting into the sleuthing because Olivia finally starts making friends, and then she loses the one that got her to start opening up in the beginning. And so she finds herself sort of thrown into this mystery to figure out the whodunit. And you get like all different kinds of really cool characters, like Cosmo, which was Camden's lover. He comes down and he was a hoot. and it was really, really good. Like the chemistry between Cosmo, like him trying to like get her out of her shell. I liked that a lot. And then they finally, another murder happens and another haiku is written, and they start realizing that the haikus are tied to summer, spring, winter, and fall. And so the writers group makes this connection that there's going to be at least 2 more murders to finish out the seasons. So you can continue because I will just go on.
Okay, so I was like, am I reading a serial killer novel? Because like it had those serial killer elements where there's a clue of a crazy poem and then there's a dead body, right? So the first dead body in here is Camden Ford. The second dead body is going to be Dean Talbot, who is the dad to the tabloid people. So basically you have 2 groups of people going on. You have the writers group and the townspeople, and then you have these celebrity Talbot and the Talbot family wanting to build a property there in Oyster Bay. And so these are kind of like 2 separate groups going on. And then it was a little confusing too, because then sometimes I would read books like their drafts, and I'd be like, then we have all these other characters inside the draft. So I honestly just skipped those because there were so many characters. So the third victim, what'd you say? Yeah. So the third victim is Max Warfield, who's a Talbot employee. And so basically what happens is all these people keep getting killed. She's trying to figure it out because, one, she really liked Camden, and then we meet Cosmo, who obviously we like as well, and she wants to get revenge for him or justice for him, and then the killer poisons her dog but doesn't kill him, so then she's really upset. And then you also have, so Chief Rawling is the head of the police, and he's this he's widowed. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, she kind of seems disgusted by him or something in the beginning. And then all of a sudden she hints that she thinks he's cute. And then for some reason, she randomly, to get some information, to do some clue searching, she goes to the guy who has the wardrobe. Is it called Open the Wardrobe or something? Oh, that's a Narnia reference.
Into the wardrobe.
Yes.
Narnia.
And he owns the bookstore in town, so he's also new. And so she goes there, and he invites her to his house in the backyard. I don't know, this must be a small town thing, but when I'm from a small town, I would never go to someone's house. So she goes to his house. He's like, I'm gonna make bratwurst, and he serves her beer. And the whole time she's dreaming of her Chivas Regal Scotch bottle that she has at home. Obviously, like she's lowering herself to eat, I guess, drink beer with him. But then she seems like she thinks he's cute. This is why I think the omniscient POV is an issue for me. I'm not really sure what she's thinking or feeling. And so at the end, it's very awkward. She's standing at her car because she obviously has to drive herself home, right? Because it's not like a real date. Yeah. And he wraps his arms around her, and then she kisses him on the lips, which I was like, why would you kiss this random stranger? There was like zero chemistry, right? Maybe that's just the romance writer in me. And then all of a sudden later on, she's like, oh my gosh, Chief Rawlings is so cute. And I was like, what about that dude who was like, you kissed, and he's like, hey, do you want to spend the night? And I was like, really? You're going to spend the night with the guy who makes drinks, serves you beer, and just hasn't even asked you on a date? He's just like, stay over and get naked. Like, it was so like creepy. I don't know. So I'm going to just go on a limb here and just say I did not feel any romance in the book or any romance subplot. So anyways, so we go on down, and this is, I think, the biggest problem I had with the book. I was so confused because as the story, she's investigating, right? And then she has dead body number 2, then dead body number 3. And then all of a sudden they were at the town hall meeting where they're voting on whether or not the Talbots can build a property in town, which is like a big point of contention, right? It'll bring jobs, but then people are worried about these 3 soldiers that were buried there. And she takes down the names of the soldiers to research them, but she never really does any research. And it's a small town. Absolutely nobody from the family has stood up and been like, that's my great uncle or grandfather or something, right?
Well, there was the one guy who did.
Which one?
The one that was like he was a fisherman or something. He said, no, my great grandfather's there. You can't do that. And he was the one who got told that he might have killed Camden for being gay because he was so against him being gay. Like he yelled at him about getting out of his town and everything.
Jethro Bragg. Yes. Jethro Bragg, who hates gay people, but is having an affair with a married woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So I missed that. And then, so at this big meeting where they're doing the final vote, all of a sudden she turns over and she's like, hey, she turns to one of the writers. She's like, hey, go figure out what Heidi St. Clair, who is this teenage, or she portrays a teenager in a very holier than thou, I guess, TV show where she has like a wholesome sort of, I guess, persona. Yeah. And so she's like, find out what her real name is. And she's like, I think I know the killer. And then all of a sudden, at literally the last minute, everybody at this meeting supposedly knows who the killer is. And there was like, after they discovered who the killer was, which I think I told you guys who the killer was, right? It was Atlas. And so Atlas, we don't even meet him. He's in my character list. He's like character number 42 out of 49. So
you meet him in the very first town hall meeting when they're talking about the big, huge construction project at the beginning of the book. You meet Atlas.
Yeah. You meet him in chapter 9. Yeah. So then, but you never really learn anything about him except that he's divorced and his wife and child don't speak to him. And then all of a sudden you find out that Heidi St. Clair is his child and she took on her mother's maiden name. He was this horrible wife beater. He's obsessed with them. And somehow, I guess I was confused on somehow this crazy Atlas guy knew that his daughter would in the future have a crush on the Talbot son. So he told his brother to buy a house in Oyster Bay so that in the future they might possibly go on a date there. I guess that's why I found this really confusing.
That was a little far-fetched. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but this is like 2 years in the making. So supposedly this guy's like a crazy person that like beats women and like is a for hire assassin, but he's going to wait 2 years to hatch this plan out. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the poems were written by the son, the Talbot son, and him and the victim number 2 had hired Atlas to go and assassinate his dad so that he could inherit the company, which also was a little far-fetched because there was no hint. I guess there was some hints in the beginning that he was doing something dangerous, but it seemed odd that they said Atlas drove like halfway across the country so he could work for the Talbots in a totally different state so that then he could suggest to them that he could be hired as a hitman. And then somehow they all magically ended up back in Oyster Bay, which he at the inn that he told his brother to buy 2 years ago.
Yeah. See, I think that it was the long game he was playing. They did hint that he moved around a lot for his construction company. So that made it, in my mind, a little bit more understandable that he might have ran into them in another state because he's worked for so many different construction companies and he doesn't stay in one place. So that was a little bit more believable for me when they set that background. There was a lot going on in the first Cozy Mystery than you normally would. I think that if this is your first Ellery Adams book, it can be a little off-putting because of how much detail she puts into everything. And she could, in essence, for a first book, put too much detail. But you start to understand it more the more you get into a series. Like I haven't read the second one in this series yet, but I feel like once I do, because I own the first 5 or so, I feel like I'll be able to go into the next one in the series really easily now that I know sort of most of the characters within the series. That's how I feel about it. But
did you actually care? So that's the problem. I didn't care. So first of all, the writing was really great. Yeah. She had amazing sentence structure. She used a ton of great vocab words. The story, like it flowed, right? There was nothing mechanically wrong with it. I think the problem, other than the plot didn't make sense, and I felt like it was an info dump at the end, but I didn't care about any of the characters.
See, okay, the character that I cared about the most was Camden. And I mean, if you watched my chapter read of the first chapter, I said at the very end of that chapter, I said to the camera, I said, Camden better not die or I'm going to be ticked. Like I was very adamant about, he was such because that character Have you ever read Ellery or Ellie Alexander's Meet Your Baker?
Yeah.
Okay, so that Camden reminded me of Lance from Meet Your Baker, her gay best friend, and like I was so stoked for that. I was ready for another cozy mystery gay best friend, like hardcore. I was excited for that, and then it got taken from me, and I felt stabbed in the heart. I felt like she took someone that was like so amazing of a character that I could have been best friends with him forever. And she took that from me.
She kind of replaced him with Cosmo. They were almost like the same person to me.
Yes, she did. But then Cosmo goes away. So like you didn't really replace that flamboyant guy in the writers group. Like I feel like in the writers group now, I haven't read any more in the series. I felt like in the writers group, they needed someone that was flamboyant, that was going to compliment people out the wazoo, but who was also going to put them in their place and be like, honey, no, we don't do that. Like we needed that.
Yeah, it was almost like, it was weird because when she introduced Cosmo, I was like, oh, well, great. Now we'll get our comic relief and everything will be fine. And then instead, she proceeds to ignore Cosmo, continues just talking to herself or talking to the dog and just going solo.
Yeah. I feel
like she doesn't even take Laurel or, Harris or anyone with her on these hunting expeditions.
Adventures. And let's talk about like the writing group. Did we think that it was like a good mixture of people? I thought with Laurel and Harris and the girl with all the tattoos and piercings.
The one that worked at Fishnets. What's her name?
Yeah, the one that worked at Fishnets. Wasn't it Millet, M-I-L-L?
Yeah.
Millet. So I think that those were like a good mixture. And then with Camden, it was like perfect. And it's not that I don't like the sheriff. I like him, but I don't think that he gives the personality that we need to sort of liven the group up, because it seemed like Camden was the heart of the group. And you killed the heart, which I know made those characters more likely to want to go and like figure out the whodunit, but it also made me super sad.
Yeah, it was because it was told in omniscient POV. I almost thought in the beginning, because Camden was such a better character than Olivia, that maybe he would be the star of the book and not her. Until of course he was killed.
Because he had some freaking awesome lines. Like just like the witty little things that he would say. I was like, oh, I like you. You're funny.
Yeah, you're like, I want him as a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Lisa says that she agrees that Camden reminded her of Lance too. Jane says the sheriff is totally growing on her, but Amber says that she thinks the sheriff is a weird addition to the group and is not sure how that's going to be. Like, I know that cozy mysteries, they need to have that connection to the police in some way. So I think that that's what his job is within the group, is the connection there.
Ryan, I agree. Plot didn't make sense. Thank you. I don't know that it didn't make sense. It just didn't get weaved in soon enough, right? Like there shouldn't have been. It was all of a sudden at the end. She's like, let me just explain everything in this last 2 chapters.
And I think that's the hard thing with the first cozy in a series, the balance of introducing new characters and making the town feel like a character in and of itself versus weaving in backstories to make the characters feel real, as well as making sure that you're intertwining the plot for that book in as well. It's like a really, it's a balance, I would think.
Ryan, it should have been Camden ending up in jail and Blake as the Vic. Yeah, it was almost like because they had Blake as a bad guy, you were like, I wouldn't feel bad if he died, but then I'd have to try to figure out who it was because he's dating all these girls, right?
Yeah.
Let's check YouTube. Lou, hi Lou. Hi Rochelle. Through the wardrobe, Olivia takes herself a bit too seriously, so you need that comic relief. Rochelle, I like Camden much more than Olivia. Yeah, I liked Camden a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I missed more of the comic relief once Camden died. I wanted the little light part of it.
I almost felt like she was trying to do like high society, like clever, funny things, right? When Olivia talks to herself and how ridiculous she is, like she's drinking a beer, but she's dreaming about her. I don't even know. Is Chivas Regal Scotch expensive?
I have no idea.
Hold on. Ben, are you up here?
Yeah.
Is Chivas Regal Scotch expensive?
It's like medium.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there's better, right?
I mean, I did, and it's like $30.
Well, I don't understand. So she's a gazillionaire, right? And she's like, my Chivas Regal. I thought maybe she would pick like a higher, like it's a recent one, like in the last decade.
No, yeah, there's newer, better.
Oh, yeah. Ben is saying there's newer, better scotches out there.
Yeah.
If you were a gazillionaire, so it's not a big deal that you can just go out and buy them.
Yeah. You're like, whatever. Just have this. Me, I'm over here with like, you know, a cider.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm thinking like if I was a gazillionaire and I was I'm not into scotch, but if I was into like, well, I am into chocolate and cupcakes, I would have them flown in from Paris and like, right? All of the great pastry shops in the world. Yeah. And then I would say, and stop off at Courtney's and drop some of her place too.
That would be fantastic.
Oh yeah. And then we'll FaceTime and eat them together.
Yes. We're just going to meet in Denver this afternoon.
Right. Versus like going to the grocery store and picking up some cupcakes.
Yes. Oh, Lisa, can we talk about Haviland? I'm in love. That dog was legit.
He's cute. I'm not into poodles. Are you a poodle person?
So I'm an animal person. So like, it doesn't matter to me. Like if they're cuddly and they like want to love on me, then I'm all over it. They could be a mixed dog that has no breed that I can tell, or they can be, you know, a standard size poodle. I used to babysit. So a friend of mine had 5 Bichons and a standard size poodle, but she worked on account a lot. So she would pay me to go in and watch her dogs. And it was the best cuddle like ever.
I guess I like the smooth short-haired dogs or the long-haired dogs. They're just nicer to pet. But yeah, the dog was awesome. Like she talked to the dog, he barked back. He seemed to understand her. He helped her dig for like shells and stuff. He has like a world-class chef.
I did. I loved the relationship between her because that's when she really seemed the most human. And like it was like she was her soul animal. Like I really liked that. Yes, exactly. Galen. But remember, this was written 10 years ago as far as Scotch. So that might have been pretty good. It was published.
He said there were better Scotches 10 years ago. Just, you know, we asked Ben because he owns a bar.
Oh, yes, yes. Amber, her telling him not to flirt with the police dog had me laughing. Yeah, it was legit. And I loved how like she just fed him people food. So my coworker, she has 2 dogs that she's rescued. She makes them like a hard-boiled egg every morning. And like her dogs eat better than me. Like, to be honest, because in the morning I'm like, yeah, English muffins, some peanut butter and a cup of coffee. Like that's my breakfast. And I like scarf it down and then like go to work. Like she legit, her dogs get vegetables and things that I should probably be having in my diet more often. And it was
cute. The dog ate the bratwurst and she's like, we'll have some vegetables to counter that later with their cookout.
Yeah. Which,
you know what I think? Oh, go on. I was going to say, I think this was actually written in the 90s, which is totally awesome. It had a reference to Sharon Stone. They're like, oh my God, I stole this from Sharon Stone. I was like, Sharon Stone. And then she was talking about Spago and Wolfgang Puck. And then someone went out to get the newspaper. Yeah. So I feel like this must have been written a while ago and then published later, maybe. And Dean Talbot is using a BlackBerry. She's like, he's on his BlackBerry device.
BlackBerry. Yes.
So for sure, I feel like this is 90s.
Oh yeah, I can totally see that.
So maybe Chivas Regal was the best in the 90s. So
it could have been
popular.
Heck yeah.
Haviland was living his best life. Yeah. Haviland was like a gazillionaire doggy.
Yeah. what did you think about Olivia's backstory with her parents and like that whole entire thing? I feel like once I got to know a little bit more about that, I was able to understand a little bit more her hesitancy of being open to others.
I guess it wasn't really, I think there was the wrong emphasis was placed on the parents, because her parents died when she was young, but in theory, I feel like they should have focused more on her growing up with her grandmother and how isolating that was, because that would explain more of her personality, versus I feel like, not that it's not, it's easy to lose your parents, but she lost them so young. It's almost like she hadn't really, she had like so many years to develop as a person beyond that, I guess, versus losing your parents in high school or something.
I think that I have like a, I don't know, more of an insight because I taught children. I've seen how much the death of a parent has affected them, and I've been able to see them grow to their senior year, and their whole entire personality changed drastically. Like one little girl that I had in 5th grade, because Olivia's parents, or her mom, died when she was 7, and then a couple of years later her dad died in the ocean, or he like took her out on that boat and everything. I had a little girl whose dad died when she was in 5th grade in a car accident, and she was this like very like bright light and very open and out there and just like the sweetest person in the world. And when her dad left or died, she sank in on herself, and she has done it all the way through her senior year. She's still a beautiful, gorgeous young lady, but she's nowhere near as boisterous as she was. So I guess as an educator, I sort of like just saw one of my students in her story, and I felt my heart broke for her.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt bad that she had lost her parents, and it sounds like her grandmother wasn't very nice, right? She said the grandmother gave her like a formal hug just for audience sake, right?
Yeah.
And then it didn't sound like her dad actually loved her at all. Like, he sounded like the dad.
I think that her dad, well, I think yeah, well, the way that she talked about it, like in one of the scenes, was, you know, how happy her family was. And then when her mother died, trying to get her Christmas or birthday present, I think it was birthday present, he blamed her for her mother's death, displaced anger on the little girl.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it almost sounded like the dad was like really in love with the mom. And then when the mom no longer ceased to exist, he was like, whatever, I'm out of here. Like, he didn't even care. Like she said, her dad didn't even tell her. He just left. He didn't even care. So it sounds like he was only sticking around.
Right? Like, he went into a storm with her on the boat, and he was drinking on the boat. And then he went to go hit her while they were on the boat, and she ran to the escape raft and cut herself from his boat. And he disappeared, and then they found her on the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like,
although, so what I did disagree with though is the whole town was like, she owes the town because we helped her. Like, I don't think just because you're rich that you owe the town money. Like, I felt like that was kind of wrong that they were judging her for that.
No, I agree.
Like, what if she was poor? Like, it doesn't, I feel like just because you have money doesn't mean you need to give to like the town you live in.
No, I totally agree. Lisa says that it made her more vulnerable, and made her more vulnerable for her, and made her real. And then why wouldn't she keep the dog? That was the last link. Oh, her dad wouldn't let her keep the dog. Yeah. Which really broke my heart. He was like, nope, you don't get to keep it.
Yeah. That was sad. Lou, I love animals, love them, but I found the relationship with the captain was too much, almost codependent. Then when he acts like a dog, she tells him she should go to the ASPCA for another dog.
Yeah. I can see that too, Lou.
Yeah, I think they were doing that on purpose to like show how she's so like non-people able to function.
Well, and that she had a higher expectation for her dog than to act like a dog.
Mhm.
Yeah. She wanted him to act like a person.
Yeah.
I would fight for it. Yeah, I would have fought for it too, but you have to also understand she was like 7. She
Yeah.
would really fight to be able to keep the dog. I mean,
Well, it sounds like because she opened up that old house that she wasn't even allowed to stay in the house. It just lay dormant for all those years. So she wasn't, did she even stay in that town? Because did her grandmother take her away to another town? I wasn't really clear on that.
her grandmother took her away, and then she came back because like the way that they talked about it was that she went to private school, and she didn't come back until recently, and then started fixing up that house, the main house, and then started fixing up the cottage and everything like that. Or she built her main house, and then just totally separating from her childhood home. How I read it. But again, there was a lot of information in this book.
It just seemed confusing because that's what I thought too. I thought she went away and then the town was so angry. They were like, we helped her. And I'm like, how could you have helped her? Her rich grandmother took her away.
Yeah. They probably were like, we helped her because we took care of her until her grandmother got here.
Yeah. The parking situation, I don't understand. I did get upset. I don't know why. It really annoys me when people who are not handicapped do park in handicapped spots. Like, I feel like that's wrong. Or like when an ambulance is going down the street.
Move.
What's that?
Yeah. I said that's a completely douche move.
Yeah, that, or like when an ambulance is going, to me, that's like when an ambulance is going down the street, but you're in such a hurry to cross the street, you still cross and you can't wait. Like there could be somebody dying in there, right? Like, why would you do that?
No, you go up to the right and you stay stopped until they've passed you. Like, yeah.
So the handicap, and then she parked in the mayor's spot. I don't know why she keeps like just walk. She's not like overweight or out of shape. Like she has a dog that wants to walk. Why wouldn't she just park further out and walk or hire a driver? She's rich enough.
People just think that they own the world and they can just park and do whatever they want to do.
It's just a very odd trait that she had. Lisa, Jane, I agree with you completely. Unfortunately, the father was so hurt, angry, and bitter he couldn't see what his daughter might have needed. Jackie, or they helped her when her dad was alive and not a great parent. Yeah, maybe it was for that 1 year that her dad was still away. So I don't know. I feel like they did not really get into, even though it was a writers group, and I feel like the other writers didn't really help to solve the crime after the first night at Fishnets where they all went together. But after that, I felt like they never came together again to like solve the crime, right?
Well, no, they did do, I think they met twice at the house. And then she also met with them. Oh, but they also met at the wardrobe. But yeah, I think they met at least 3 times to talk about the different things that they found, because when she found a new poem, she texted it to everyone and then got together and was like, hey, how can we break this down? How can we break it apart? So I think that it just didn't seem as much because the group wasn't the focus, even though it should have been, since it is called the Books by the Bay Mystery series. You would have think that they would have had more, I don't know, input.
Well, yeah, plus it's omniscient POV, so you could have easily switched to Laurel's POV for a while at her house and then to Malay's POV at the bar, right? Like, it wouldn't have mattered. You didn't have to keep following Olivia. And I guess I'm used to, what's it called? Aurora Teagarden, the Real Murders Mystery Club, where they run around and they all kind of assign each other tasks. You know what I mean? And then they come back together. And I felt like,
I think that they started to when Olivia asked Millet to ask her her customers at the bar about what happened that night and about Camden and things like that. I think, again, it's something that might grow more within the series, with them getting their individual backstories and personalities and everything like that. I feel like it might go more into detail.
Maybe. Who else? Has anyone here read the whole series by Ellery Adams? Like this particular one, not the other ones.
Mm-mm. This is my first time reading it. I have, no. She does have a lot of series, though. She's got the Charmed Pie Shop Mysteries, Books by the Bay Mysteries, the Book Retreat Mystery Series, and then the Secret Book and Scone Society. But that's all just under Ellery Adams. She then writes under other pseudonyms that I didn't even know about. Like, I just got like flabbergasted.
Yeah,
she how many different books she's
written. A ton of books.
Yeah.
Didn't you find it a little ironic though that like she does a great job of putting together book club discussions for her different series, but the series about like writers, she didn't put a book club. I was like, "Where's our book club questions?"
I texted her and I was like, "Hey, do you have any questions to go along with the killer plot?" And she's like, "No, I don't actually." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, we've got this."
Yeah, I don't, I haven't read a book that has book club discussion questions since like, I think junior high or something, or high school.
Yeah. So maybe one day in 2020, 1 month in 2020, we'll have a book that has book club questions in it.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to cover or talk about in this book? I'm looking at all the characters.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of characters.
So here's what was really hard for me at first was Camden had the Talbots with different names and and then in real life they taught like Talbots and Talcott and Dean and something else. And so I was so confused. I was like, is this a new person? Who is this supposed to be? I was like, that took me, I had to reread the first half of the book twice to get all those names. And then there was a few characters that were mentioned that were supposed to be somebody, but I wasn't even really sure who they were, like Marlene. She's like, because I can search in Kindle, like she's mentioned a few times, but there's no context. Like, does she own something? Yeah. How is she on the council? How old is she? Right? She married.
I can see that.
So that was a little hard. And then, yeah. But I did I don't know if anyone noticed this. I told Courtney that I did love Laurel's parenting skills with the special water squirt gun, where she was like, this special squirt gun will prevent you from ever being able to get Happy Meals. I was like, that is so cute.
Like, they legit were like, oh.
Yeah. That was like genius parenting.
Yeah, no, I was totally impressed with that. I was like, I'm saving that one for later.
Yeah, I was like, this is totally Courtney as a mom.
Yeah. I can see you just like using conscious discipline and, you've got a choice. You can do this or you can do this. Which one would you prefer?
Very much.
It's two things I want them and need them to do, but they feel like they've got the choice.
And so I guess the only thing left is, what do we think is she gonna have a romance in book number 2 with the creepy bookstore owner who clearly just wants one night stands? Or I should say one night stands. He wants to put no effort in.
Putting me off. I was like, whoa there when she went to his house. I was like, hey, no, we don't do that. I feel like she needs to feel herself out before she decides to start feeling others out. You catch my drift? Like,
there were 3 guys mentioned that she thought were hot. There was creepy bookstore owner, who honestly didn't seem creepy until the date. And then the sheriff, who she seemed disgusted by, but then seemed to like. And then the bartender, who she said was just really good looking.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not quite sure. But before we end this, Ellery Adams is doing a giveaway for those that are still in the comments on both YouTube and on here. and she's giving away this adorable tea kettle that
Very
looks
cute.
just like the on the cover. I mean, looks very similar. Let's see. Do we want to do it like the way we normally do it?
Sure, we can do, so we have a few people on YouTube and we have a lot of people here on Crowdcast. So I will download the list. If you want to ask two people to give you numbers.
Let's see. Ellen, give me a number, and Lou, give me a number. So Ellen and Lou, give me a number each. So Ellen, 3, and Lou, I know YouTube, it lags a little bit behind of Crowdcast. So Lou, okay. So they both gave me the number 3.
They both gave you number 3.
Let's do 3 times 3.
Okay. So 3 times 3. Let me open up Microsoft Excel.
You know, it's
wait. I guess it's such, I'm just kidding. It's 9. I can count to 9 without Excel. Hold on.
It's totally fine. It's a judgy-free zone. I wasn't even thinking anything of it.
No, I'm bad at math, so it's possible I could have needed a calculator. So Ryan's 1, Lou is 2, Stacy's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's Jane. Woohoo! Jane is number 9.
Jane! So Jane, if you have Instagram or on Twitter, or if you just want to email me, courtagonist@gmail.com, with your address, I will give that to Ellery, and she will send that to you guys. Ellen asks, do you plan on continuing the series? I do. I love Ellery Adams, and I can't wait to dive in and see how the characters evolve throughout the series. So I'm super excited about it.
The other Lisa said, I plan to continue the series.
Yeah, I 100% plan to continue the series. Oh, yes. So, Lisa, what about our December book? So I know that we did not put up a poll for December's Cozy Escape Book Club because for those that have been following me for the past couple of years on YouTube, I created the 12 Days of Cosmas. And I'm super excited that Lisa is going to be doing 12 Days of Cosmas. And we've got some really, really fun things that we're going to do. But with Christmas in December and everything being so hectic, we decided sort of to do a book called Christmas Sweets. So this is by Joanne Fluke, Laura Levine, and Leslie Meyer. This will be the Cozy Escape Book Club for the month of December. It's got 3 short stories in it, and it's got tons of recipes and fun things like that. Do you want to tell them what we're going to do for our chapter readings?
Yes. So as you probably know, when we picked out all of the themes for each of the seasons, I voted 100% for cozy culinaries not even cozy baking cozies for the winter season. So I suggested to Courtney that we do a combination baking and reading of our chapters. And so, in fact, I recorded mine like a month ago because I was so excited. So it's like recorded and ready to go. So those will go up this Sunday on November 24th. And so the deal is I am much better at baking and Courtney is much better at reading. So she's going, because there's 3 stories. So she's going to read the first chapters of the first 2 stories. I will read the first chapter of the 3rd story. And then in exchange, I will do 2 baking items and Courtney will do 1 baking item.
Yes. So hopefully you guys are excited. We thought that this was just the cutest cover and just a great way to end out 2019 because everybody's month is really, really busy. But that does mean that we are going to, so with the 12 days of Christmas, it's December 1st through December 12th, and we'll go into everything. We're going to have videos that come out about the 12 days of Cosmas and everything. But the live stream for the December book will be Saturday on December 14th, right? December 14th.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a normal Wednesday.
And because, I'm sure you guys are going to laugh. So poor Courtney, I tortured her with like 3 phone calls. I'm like, I just don't understand Cosmas or what I'm supposed to do. So what I did is I created a nice PDF guide for you guys. So Courtney has approved it.
Yes, it's gorgeous. It's amazing.
Yeah. So Cosmas, that will go out this Sunday as well, or whenever Courtney wants to put it out. I don't know when. And that will have exactly how
Yes,
Cosmas
no, perfectly fine.
each day.
Yeah, and we can put links in our description box for a downloadable link from like Google Drive or something in the description box too. So if you don't get it via email, if you're not part of the Cosmas or the Cozy Escape email group newsletter, you totally should be. The new newsletter just came out. Was it yesterday or Monday?
Today.
Yes. So I know I read it already, and I messaged her, and I was like, "It looks so good. Thank you so much." So you guys should totally go and make sure you're signed up for that, so you can get all of the goodies and information for it and all of that fun stuff.
Yep. And yeah, so we have so much that you don't even know. We like had a powwow meeting. We have so much stuff going on for the next like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, basically.
Yeah, no, we've got tons of stuff that are coming out, guys. So make sure that, you're subscribed to both of us and everything so you don't miss out on any of the cozy goodness.
Yeah, and so tomorrow, so I'm going to say tomorrow, but probably later in the week on Friday, the December planner will come out, the monthly planner I share with everybody. And so in the calendar, I always put all of our Cosmas events and our Cozy Escape events. So all of that is inside of that calendar as well. So you can keep track of what to do when.
Yep. So does anybody have any other questions about December's book or anything like that before we head out? I've got some things that I'm super, super excited about. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right. Well, I don't think so. Lou sounds like fun. Rochelle, Cosmas, smiley face. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Lisa, excited for 12 days of Cosmas. Me too, now that I understand it. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.